Good morning, parents. Kirk Jones, high school pastor, North Coast Fallbrook, giving the weekend recap for January the 27th. Yesterday we were in James chapter 4. We talked about friendship with the world and friendship with God and how those things typically, or they cannot coexist, and how a lot of us think it's a good idea to stay neutral and not pick a side, but then we're taking shots from both sides. We talked about temptation and how that shift in perspective, as we allow the world to, tempt us, and as we become more and more involved in the world, our faith continues to be compromised. If one leg is going one direction, the other leg is going the other direction. There's only so much flexibility. And then I address the idea of homemade Christianity, which is kind of this. It's almost like the analogy I used was I'm in a grocery store and I'm just shopping for what I want. So I asked the students, what are the things that you like about Christianity? Hey, forgiveness of sins. They said friendships. A lot of different things we like about the idea of Christianity. But then I said, what do we like about the world? And I'm like, okay, money. Yes. Fame, popularity, attention from the opposite sex, all different kinds of stuff, whatever it may be, your hobby, you name it. And then we just go down and we shop and we go, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like that. And I close that out with saying you can build your own religion, but then when you die, you're accountable to, the God of your religion. Who is that? Oscar the Grouch? I don't know. He doesn't exist because your religion doesn't exist. And so we kind of address that, here's the world, here's God, we're in the world, we're not of the world. And then I want to say that was verses like 1 through 4, maybe up until even 7 a little bit. And then from 7 throughout the rest of the chapter, I basically said, since we just gotten back from camp last week, we talked about that camp experience and that camp high. And who doesn't want to encounter God? And it's not so much that he lives up in Big Bear Mountain and you can only encounter him at winter camp or summer camp, but it's more this idea of if you ever took a weekend even, to just draw closer to the Lord, like, good chance you're going to meet him. And so I said, here's some evidence in James chapter 4 of how we can maybe encounter God without having to get another camp high. And it breaks down, I think it's starting in verse 7. It says you need to submit to God. When you do that, then you need to resist the devil. When you do that, you need to draw near to God. And when you do that, you need to humble yourselves. And we broke down some stereotypes in there. I'll go through them real quickly. Submission, I basically said, isn't allowing or permission. If you're watching MMA, if you're watching UFC, when you tap out, you're giving up. So you're not saying, yeah, God, come here. Like, here's some of my life. You can have some of it. No, you give up, God wins. When you do that, you can resist the devil. We talked about how, in high school, I feel like there's such an idea with young Christians that they need to resist temptation. Not true. Run from temptation, resist the devil. And we talked about that, and I got to share some of my experiences and my struggles and in high school and things like that. Then there's this idea of drawing near to God. It's active. It's not passive. We don't wait for God to show up. We pursue him because he deserves it. And then we humble ourselves. And a couple things there. One is when we humble ourselves, God can use it. And the verse implies that it's not a fun process. And it's true because you cannot be fixed until you realize that you're broken. And that's not to say that all of Christianity is tears and gloom. But humility, praying for humility, it's a scary prayer. So there's only one more chapter in James. It'll probably take us 2 weeks to get through it. Got one quick announcement. February 23rd, we're going to be at the Pregnancy Resource Center. Your student is more than welcome to join us. It's going to be we're honestly going to have a fun time. Not to mention we're going to serve the Lord and the community. So, if your student is big on serving, they've probably already signed up. If they're not, this is like this is like a gateway drug into serving. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's such a great time, and I would definitely encourage your student. We've got a sign-in sheet every Wednesday, every Sunday. Definitely encourage your students to make it out to Zion Lutheran Church February 23rd at 5 o'clock. White collared shirt, black slacks. We're going to be serving people in our community. All right, thank you so much. I will see you next week.